Welcome back to the Fatal Vision Podcast. This is your host, James McGinnis, and
Look,
we have live from New York.
wait,
What's wrong?
we're live again? I thought we were
No,
doing.
you are live to me right now. We're not actually live. This is a
Okay,
canned recording.
because we've been going live.
No. Oh, so sorry for the miscommunication. This isn't live. No. And in fact, that entire thing we just did should be edited out later.
Yeah, we'll cut
It's a,
that.
it's a terrible stumble
Yeah,
out the
we'll.
gate.
You got that? We'll cut that. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're cutting it. Yeah, don't worry. It's already been cut.
Yeah.
So, yeah, anyways, I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that Billy's up in here tonight with us.
Yeah. For a change, I'm
Yes,
here.
you're always here.
A lot of people in the comments don't seem to know I'm here.
I know. Well, oh, sorry, that was, we'll edit that sound effect out.
Is that your
Um,
cat?
no, that was me. It was my foot hitting, a
Oh,
box full
that's
of,
not. That's not
of
cool, man.
magnets.
That's
Yeah, we're
not
gonna have to
cool.
edit that out. Uh,
That's
it's not,
sorry.
it's not very glamorous here. You know, we're still working on building our sets. As you can see, we're not, ultimately I want to be sitting in like some sort of
Throne.
a throne or an easy chair with like a Fatal Vision, a bookshelf with just Fatal Vision copies of Fatal Vision behind me,
Different
and
editions.
different editions. Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
every edition. Um,
Every.
that's still months or years away. So for now, it's just sort of this, beautiful room, but it's
Well,
nothing
once we get
special.
to
Yeah.
500 subscribers, we can enable the super chat option, and then we'll have the studio in a matter of weeks, probably.
Oh yeah. Once people are finally, people have been trying to contribute, and they just
You know how many
they haven't
people
been.
have just come up to me with an envelope of cash for this, and I have to say, no, we don't have 500 subscribers yet.
Yeah, I know. It says, look, hey, you're not your money, your views aren't worth anything unless you have 500 subscribers. So, um, I guess not that we're in the money chasing business at all. In fact, this is more of a money spending business, but. If you have happened to have been listening and you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so because it enables so much more penetration for the message out there. So that's just a small thing you can do.
Yeah.
Billy's rolling his eyes. You know that we're on camera tonight, right?
Yeah. I just didn't. I don't know. We'll take it offline.
You didn't care. You didn't care for that.
I think you should explain to our listeners on Apple and Spotify how to
Who-
get to the YouTube channel.
Oh yeah. Well,
The James
so
McGinnis channel.
well, I would love to change it to something else. Is that part of the issue? Is that part of the eye rolling?
No, that wasn't why I
Yep.
rolled my
Okay.
eyes.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's youtube.com/at James McGinnis, all one word, 1012. That is our URL.
All right.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll drop
thank-
the URL in the description.
yes. So we'll do that. We'll get it to you right away. So you can
Yeah.
participate in it. And as we're still getting used to being able to see each other and for you to be able to see us, so that sort of nonverbal communication with an eye roll was pretty vicious. But we'll be all right. We're going to work through it. We're working through it as we go.
Yeah. It
And
wasn't.
I'm still would like the option to edit all of this out later, even if that's just a way of coping with how this has started. Hasn't started pretty badly. Can you just imagine somebody already like, clicking away on us? It's so painful. It's so painful.
Yeah.
I know, but we're doing it.
Like,
We're doing it.
thumbs down.
I know it always strikes me. The whole thing about dislikes on YouTube is the weirdest part to me. It's like I'm posting a full raw recording of a historical event or an interview, and like someone's disliking it.
Yeah.
This feels very emotionally driven. And
Yeah.
one of our probably the core group of partisan anti-fatal vision podcast people out there that just live and breathe trying to
Yeah.
destroy us.
Yeah, we've got enemies and we've got fans, and I try not to think about any of
No,
that. I
no,
sit there.
I never acknowledge them at all. I never acknowledge them. Oh, now we can see your different editions. So Billy, what's that there you got there? You want to show
The
them?
original hardcover.
That's the first edition.
Yeah,
Yeah, and this is 2025. I guess I'm on a mirrored camera. Mine looks reversed, or maybe
I
that's
don't
just.
know.
I bet
I,
yours
I
looks. Yeah,
I bought this in Williamstown, and
yeah.
people that have been with us for a long time will remember that anecdote.
Here, hold it up for the camera. Maybe this could be the thumbnail for later. All right, perfect. All right, so that's 83 to 25. All right, so that was beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, that was beautiful.
So what we can do now is, well, you tell me what's on your mind.
Hey, I've been getting a lot of texts and emails and calls and approaches out in public. The people, they love our live stuff. They love the videos and the clips and all that. But we have some people that really want us to keep reading the book out loud and commenting on everything
Oh, sure.
that they come
Oh,
for. So I don't know. I feel like the videos are like I don't know. Springsteen is like busting out Born to Run and the lights are up. I feel like this is more of like you're listening to Western Stars or something.
that's a great metaphor. Well, it's going deeper for sure. But also the videos depends on which videos you're referring to. You know.
Yeah,
Um,
not really a metaphor though,
it's not a metaphor.
but it
Oh,
it
you said like, so does that mean it's a simile?
yeah.
Okay,
I just know that your mom is tuning in, so she would like
that's
she's
debatable. She
already
wouldn't. She,
thinking.
I can assure you, she would not have made it past the first couple minutes there. That was almost nobody did. So we can really relax now because it's just
Everybody's gone. Okay.
everybody's gone.
All right. Nice. Nice.
Um,
Thank
but yeah, so
God.
we're returning to the we're not giving up on our mission to get through the book and celebrate it as a sacred document, and it's part of our duty here because the book is the framework we use to understand the case and understand the world around the case and the people involved in the case. And it's the only reason we're here. It's the only reason we get videos, and the only reason we get new material that's never been heard before is because of this book. So the book is isn't going anywhere, and we're back to it tonight.
Back to basics. We're gonna read it. We're gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about the writing of it.
Yes, but we're going to attempt to put in some clips that apply to the events that take place in this chapter. We've got some archival audio we can splice in, and it'll enhance your listening experience, like you're listening
We
to it.
hope.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
maybe it'll detract. I hope not.
Let us know
But I
in
know,
the
yeah,
comments. Like, subscribe, comment.
yeah, exactly. So,
Visionpodcast@gmail.com.
yeah, you can please reach out to us directly there. All right, so
Where we at?
let's center ourselves here. We're in chapter 3 of part 2 of the book. We spent many weeks on chapter 2, which goes through encompasses the entire Article 32 hearing. So McDonald has been cleared or told, now the general provost marshal, whatever, said that there was insufficient evidence, and as we know, McDonald will never let us forget that the Colonel Rock report, which was filed internally, said that the charges were not true. And the chapter 2 ends with him saying that he would like to see the intruders given the death penalty when they're caught, because They made their choice when they killed my family. They should pay for it.
Yeah.
So now we're into chapter 3, and we're
Okay.
going to get
Part 2, Chapter 3.
part 2, chapter 3, and I think we're going to see some amazing writing here from Joe in terms of his slicing and dicing McDonald's narcissism and just putting it on full display. So let's just dive right in. I invite you to sit up straight and read the book, and I invite Billy to do the same.
Shall I begin?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
The murder of 3 members of a family does not, in all cases, bring about a heightened and sustained degree of interest in the survivor. But when the survivor is an intelligent, physically attractive, Princeton-educated physician who happens also to be a Green Beret officer and who tells the world less than 6 months after the Charles Manson murders that the violence done to himself and his loved ones was wreaked by drug-crazed hippies in an apparent replication of the Manson cult homicides, it is inevitable that he will become, for a time, the focal point of a certain amount of public attention. That this happened to Jeffrey MacDonald was not surprising. That he found himself gratified and titillated rather than repelled by the phenomenon may also have been unsurprising. But in the months and years which were to follow the Army's announcement that the charges against him had been dismissed, it proved by no means insignificant. Even before the Article 232 hearing began, MacDonald seemed entranced by the newspaper and television publicity he was receiving and decided that eventually he would like to have someone write a book about the case. Handled properly, such a book could make him not only famous, but rich. He, after all, had a story. And nobody simply told a story anymore. People with stories sold the rights to them. Something Bernie Siegel repeatedly assured MacDonald that he would someday have the chance to do. To that end, MacDonald began to compile what he would later call a diary, but what was in fact a reconstructed account of his version of the events which had led up to and had flowed from those terrible early morning hours of February 17th. Let's stop there.
I love the diary thing with his quotes is so good. He just keeps going back to it throughout the rest of the book. He's like, well, as we know what MacDonald wrote in his diary, he said this happened. And it's just delightful. Thinking that someday this material could be turned over to an author whom he would come to employ, MacDonald, so this is an image, alone in his BOQ room in the evening, began to write. You just see him there with the tuna sandwich grill on one side and the rusted pipes on the other that he thought about hanging himself. Pen to paper. Saturday, 14th February 1970. Went to PX and bought Valentine's cards and candy for my 3 girls, Colette, Kimberly, and Christy. I'm sure we made love that night because we almost always did, given an evening together without others or without my work. Monday, 16th Feb. 1970. Routine day at work. Heard from boxing club coach who said I would probably hear within several days about the proposed 30-day trip to Russia as physician for the team. Colette is almost as happy as I am about the possibility of my going, although we both wish she could go. ...
I wonder if that's true.
Yeah. I wonder if we'll ever... There's probably a lot of things we can look up about that, but it doesn't sound true. It sounds like a quote diary. Later, there would be occasional mention of memories of his wife and children, such as the kids, especially in my thoughts today. Tried to read Rod McEwen poetry, but everything reminded me of the kids or Colette, and I had to quit. That reminds me of the philosophy and poetry that his sister said he was so fond of, but he was reading Mickey Spillane the night of the murders. The diary's dominant theme, other than the concern about the progress of the legal proceedings against him, soon came to be publicity.
Yeah.
Friday, 22nd of May. The news today had the story of the $5,000 reward. It sounded very good on TV. Tuesday, 16th of June. The publicity, I forgot to mention, was very good. Page 1 in the Sunday Raleigh News and Observer, and was a good human interest story, except we are sorry they used a picture of me in my convertible. It makes light of a very serious situation. It would have been better not to use that particular picture. Tuesday, 7th of July. Yesterday's press was fairly good to me. Evening TV coverage excellent. Thursday, 9 July. It is apparent that the press is strongly behind me. This isn't just it seems absolutely off the wall, insane, sick, deranged stuff right here. I would just want to point out that the his amazing PR wisdom around that he shouldn't have used the convertible picture didn't seem to. He wasn't able to retain that lesson very well when it came to his putting out pictures of himself with his beautiful boat, the Recovery Room, in People magazine a week before his murder trial in '79. It just wasn't able to avoid that. Anyway, Billy, you want to pick up the text?
There then had occurred an incident in which CID agents, in an attempt to obtain a hair sample which McDonald had refused to provide voluntarily, forced off the road a car in which he and his attorneys were riding. After a scuffle during which both Siegel and an assistant, Dennis Eisman, fell to the ground, the CID agents forcibly removed McDonald to a site where the hair sample was obtained.
Military policemen at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, reportedly roughed up 2 civilian lawyers for Captain Jeffrey McDonald today, then took him into protective custody and removed hair from his head and body, presumably for use in his murder trial. McDonald is charged with the murder of his pregnant wife and 2 young daughters on the post last February. Authorities say bits of hair were found in Mrs. McDonald's hand and near her body. McDonald claims the murders were done by hippie-type intruders who also stabbed him. The Army says McDonald's wounds were self-inflicted.
Having sensed that a confrontation on this issue was about to erupt, Siegel had arranged to have a car full of reporters and photographers trailing the vehicle in which McDonald was riding. The incident was therefore widely reported. In his diary, McDonald noted, "The news was out immediately. It appears to be the biggest story in weeks. Headlines all over, TV, radio, and countless phone calls. Rep Pike, Sen Javits, Jack Anderson's column in Washington. Everyone is interested. The AP and UPI wire services told Freddie in Long Island that it is worldwide, not just national." The day after the incident, he wrote, "More pictures today, taking some advantage of the neck brace worn by Denny and involving AP, UPI, and local. The press conference in New York tomorrow, at which the Kassabs and Jeffrey McDonald's mother plan to renew their demand that the hearing be reopened to the public, sounds like it will be well attended." That was a little note in brackets from Joe.
Oh, thank you, Joe.
When defense counsel was cross-examining the first witness, the prosecution attorney jumped to his feet and said, and I can't quote him literally, but this was the intent of his meaning, why bother with these kind of questions? We are not here to try the Army. We are here because we say he's guilty of murdering his wife and children.
My wife and I have known this boy since he was in public school. The second would be that my wife and I have spent many days, many hours, many weeks with the both of them in their home, in our home. We know the kind of a loving husband and father that he was. And I'll bring the last point, and this hurts. The Army contends, and from what I have read in the paper, my daughter and 2 grandchildren, suffered in excess of 80 stab wounds. What they want the public to believe is that a sane man And they charge premeditation, mind you, sat down and planned to perform such an act. I don't believe anybody in this country will believe that a sane man would do this.
The following day, he reported, the news conference was attended by 2 major TV stations, multiple radio stations, AP, UPI, local newspapers. Freddie just told me it went beautifully. No mention here yet, but it was on the 6 p.m. news in New York. Dennis is wearing his brace, and there has been extensive TV coverage of same. I feel like this is sort of your dad's wheelhouse. Where, you know,
Like,
people...
I mean, you can only imagine how long the thing actually is.
The diary?
Yeah. I mean, he's going in to the deep water to pull this stuff out for 2 pages in a printed book.
Yeah, and your dad is so skilled at bringing out and laying bare the absurdity of people, the
Yeah.
absurdity of our condition as people, and this relationship between the self you present and then the self in reality. Like I'm looking at this and just a moment. Your dad's first book was about the way TV helped create a candidate for office.
Yeah, sure.
Like how do we use the medium of television? How do we use the press to create a compelling narrative around this person? And so it just strikes me that your dad's having fun here doing the same thing, like showing the press strategy that they're employing.
Yeah, well, I mean, and this is one part where the movie might even have a leg up on the book, is because they recreate the this really absurd thing with seagulls, jackal reporters all in a like a big bandwagon, waiting for the army to pull them over, and then this orchestrated scene where they have in the film Dennis Eisman is rolling around on the ground, clutching his neck, and Bernie's like, take a picture, and he's like, my neck. It's really it's one of those weird moments of like total, like you forget, it's where the unreality of what we're here about, what the case, the darkness of the case, the evil of McDonald. You're suddenly in this absurd element of it where it's
funny.
like it's funny. It's funny.
It's funny.
And it's at his expense because he is so brazen. And
so there's a lecture that we put up on the channel that your dad gave at Bennington College. I think
that's
it
right.
was 1981.
Yeah.
Where
Halfway through the book. Yeah.
Yeah. And he, in the lecture, talks about In Cold Blood, and he talks about the Executioner song. Now, the press play a role in both of those books, but he had clearly read them. And the Executioner song, which is about the murders committed by Gary Gilmore, and then Gilmore's time on death row, and he became infamous because he was asking the state of Utah to kill him. He was refusing to appeal the conviction. He was refusing to appeal the sentence. So it became this whole nationwide argument about the death penalty and whether the state should be killing somebody who's asking to be killed, and things like that. But half of the book is about the folks from LA and New York who swooped into Utah to try to get the rights to the story.
Yeah. Yeah, and how. So even though there's a horrible crime at the heart of it, there's this absurd humor around the environment it's created in terms
Right.
of
Right.
people trying to come in and make a name for themselves. You got Bernie right away. He's like, this is only a month into it, a couple months into it. It's
and the guy that got the rights to the Executioner song story in that book, the guy is like, trying to. His name is Larry Schiller. He's like trying to get to the girlfriend before anyone else, and like he's making her the best. He's offering her the best deal, and then so Schiller gets all the material, and he then brings it to Norman Mailer to write it. Norman Mailer didn't actually interview anybody for that book.
Yeah, the guy, he'd been dead. He was dead by then, right? Gilmore had already been killed.
Gilmore was dead, and
Yeah.
everyone else had been interviewed by
This guy, this other
Schiller.
guy.
But
Yeah.
so I don't know. I see the influence of that book because your dad. Because your dad had mentioned it self-consciously as an
Yeah.
influence, something he's thinking about. This chapter in miniature is that same dynamic, like. But except in this case, what's different is that McDonald is the one, like, oh my God, we got to get an author, we got to do the thing, we got to manipulate this and that.
Well, also, I mean, so he has these fake journal entries about, well, first of all, how it's absolutely disgusting that he's talking about, making love in his like dream diary about what happened the week of the murder.
It's not what
Because
your
we
diary
always
looks
did.
like. You don't write about, yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
Oh, sorry, we'll just cut that. We'll cut that.
yeah, sure. The what's funny is about this, is that he's on trial. He's literally in a pre-trial hearing for murder of children and his wife, and he's like, "Oh man, UPI, AP, wire service." Like, I mean, maybe they really like knew they had it in the bag during Article 32, but you'd think it was he'd already been gotten the. But that's the thing is he thought he had it in the bag in '79 too. He's making plans for the Queen Mary. When the knock came on the door from the clerk. So
Yeah.
that's just how McDonald operates. And I just love how Dennis is wearing his brace. It's like, I mean, ambulance chaser, lawyer is chasing his own ambulance with his own fake injuries. It's just it's pristine stuff. We'll find out that there's a great Getty picture of Eisman in his brace. We'll put it up. We'll put it up there. You'll have it. All right.
Yeah, go back.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take us out into the next section, and then we're going to move into. I'll read till the end of this. The publicity he was receiving, in addition to fueling his desire for more, also had the effect of attracting to his cause a certain amount of these beautiful people to whose ranks MacDonald was drawn. He got a letter from the Countess Christina Parlozzi, the New York socialite and fashion model who was at that time the wife of a Park Avenue plastic surgeon named Howard Bellin, a man whose friendship MacDonald had cultivated during his internship year at Columbia Presbyterian. The Countess informed him that she and her husband had agreed to lend their name to a fundraising effort in his behalf, and that Dr. Bellin had already written a letter seeking contributions to the Jeff MacDonald Defense League. She further assured him that, if all goes well and they drop these ridiculous charges, we will give you a fundraising party where you'll come in person. We've got a lot of guest rooms in this 18-room apartment on Park Avenue. You've got a room here when you get free, and we will show you how the rest of the world is living during this year of monetary crisis. Oh, my Jeff, I have tears in my eyes for you, darling. It is the waste. I do not understand, but only a few men get a chance to find out how much their friends would do for them, and how many people really honestly care, and maybe you are privileged that way. The Countess's letter prompted an assistant of Bernie Siegel's to announce to the press that the jet set is joining the defense, and that letters requesting contributions have been sent to all the big people, the ultra-rich. To Jeffrey MacDonald, who had used grit, brains, and charm to climb from blue-collar patchog to the Ivy League and then to the threshold of an immensely promising career in medicine, but now sat under armed guard in a bachelor's officer room at Fort Bragg accused of murder, the allure of such a promised land was powerful. If celebrity was to be a byproduct of his tragedy, he would not fight it. Section break. That's quite a bit of color there. That Countess, the Countess Christina, and her and then we're joining the up with the ultra rich.
Yeah. That
I
last
also
paragraph of the
yeah.
section is interesting too. Your dad's interpretation of Jeff's rationalizing his
Yes.
embracing of the rich and powerful.
Courting the 18 bedroom Park Avenue people to his cause, because he had done it all on his own, but now we got people. Now we have to have the deep pocketed people, see this through.
I mean, hasn't he earned it?
He earned it. And I also am struck, knowing so as much as I know, which is so much, is that the first ever Jeffrey McDonald Defense League is built in 1970. It's just crazy to think of how long that went on for and how many different iterations it existed until the website finally went offline in 2018 or something. There was always been some kind of, there was always like a defense fund or which ultimately, from my understanding, went straight to his commissary and never paid a single pro bono lawyer. But more on that later. All right, so we've got a big thing coming up now. It's going to be McDonald's first in-depth interview with a newspaper, and that's going to take us through the end of this text for this episode, not the end of the chapter. Billy, you want to bring us into that? Set the scene.
Yeah. So where are we gonna cut for the next?
We're gonna cut with his writing in his diary about his concern that the Newsday reporter is gonna get away with all the good info without giving him any money. So then, actually, let's end with 2 days later, McDonald wrote, and then the quote after that.
Okay, I see where that is.
Yeah.
All right, we're going back into it.
All right.
Everybody,
Yeah. Buckle up.
Out.
Yeah.
The lack of aversion to publicity was a quality which McDonald shared with his attorney, Bernie Siegel. It's a great sentence.
Yeah.
Not content with giving daily briefings to the local press and hoping to spark interest in a book, Siegel arranged for McDonald to grant a lengthy and exclusive interview to the Long Island newspaper Newsday. It was the first time that McDonald had spoken publicly in detail about the events of February 17th. He had hitherto described them, even to his closest friends and family, as simply too painful to talk about. Though the interview occurred weeks before he would testify at the Article 32 hearing, McDonald was far from reticent, describing in detail the attack and its aftermath, stating that he had sustained 12 ice pick wounds across the abdomen and 3 ice pick wounds on the left arm, 1 stab wound in the left arm, 2 stab wounds in the abdomen, and a stab wound in the right chest, and that at Womack Hospital he had been treated for shock. And even going so far as to discuss his contemplation of suicide on the night of April 6th. Haran, quote, I was laying in bed looking at the pipe running across the barracks, an exposed pipe with all that dirty green shipped paint, and looking at my belt and saying to myself, if I jump off my desk with a belt, will it work? Close paren. And to draw stick figure diagrams which illustrated the locations of the bodies of his wife and children inside the apartment. McDonald also told the interviewer that, quote, "My whole image of myself has been changed drastically. It's been the hardest thing for me to accept that I failed my family when I was needed most. You can put in all kinds of rationalizations. There were 4 people against 1, you were hit on the head, you were unconscious. But the fact remains, I did not defend my family and they are dead. This is what keeps me awake nights. In my mind, I feel that I have let them down, and I have to live with that. And that's been a crushing blow for me to face up to." An even more crushing blow, he said, was the sudden realization on April 6th that the CID suspected him of having committed the murders. We're quoting again. "In the prior 6 weeks, there was absolutely no hint that I was a suspect. As a matter of fact, on multiple occasions, the provost marshal had personally assured the press that I was indeed not a suspect, that there was no evidence against me, and my wounds were multiple and serious, and I could not have inflicted those wounds on myself. It's funny how long it took me to get the idea that some people, in fact, did not believe me. You know, it didn't normally occur to me, since I had witnessed 4 people and I had seen my kids and my wife in this condition, that this wouldn't seem reasonable. First of all, you know, you'd either have to be on drugs or be psychotic. There's no 2 ways about it. What was done in the house was not done by normal people. But apparently some people were bothered by the fact that I did survive my injuries, which, while serious at the time, are not as serious as the rest of my family's. Although in number I had just as many stab wounds, they weren't as deep because I was defending myself."
I'm sorry, that is so outrageous. That is just disgusting. It was the same number of stab wounds that my family got.
Yeah, but he was just fighting so hard
Yeah, they weren't able to they weren't able to get in deep enough.
because of how hard he fought.
Yeah, this is so unhinged. He hadn't even testified at Article 32. This is like basically a form of this is almost a confession. Anyway, didn't mean to interrupt. I just felt moved to.
McDonald then talked about April 6th. "I walked in," he said, "and Mr. Shaw and Mr. Ivory came in behind me, and Mr. Grebner said, 'Sit down, Captain McDonald, we want to talk to you.' I mean, it was very it was a very somber act that I walked into. There were 3 men in business suits with guns on staring at me, you know, and he said, 'We have a few questions to ask you.' And I said, 'Fire away.' And he said, 'First, before I do, let me read you your rights.' So I waived my right to counsel, and they began questioning me, and there were very minor inconsistencies. Nothing at all in, you know, the heat of the questioning, or as far as even they were concerned. But then, after a little over 2 hours of interview, they started asking me questions that were obviously indicative that they felt that the scene was staged, and my reaction at that was incredulous. I got mad at them. I was swearing at them, as a matter of fact. I said, 'You guys are out of your goddamn minds.' I said, 'What do you mean, staging? 6 weeks after the crime is committed, you calmly assume it's staged by me?' And I said, 'First of all, you've shown me a tremendous lack of investigatory ability. You've been really incompetent from the beginning, both on the investigation and on your public relations. My wallet was taken from your custody. It's taken you 6 weeks to figure out that the scene was staged, and now you're telling me that I murdered my family and you have absolutely no evidence? And furthermore, what motive do you think I had?' At which point he pulled out a photograph of this girl from San Antonio and he passed it to me and said, 'Do you know this girl?' And I looked at it and I said, 'Yes, it's a girl I knew in San Antonio.' And he said, 'How long did you know her?' And I said, 1 day, one afternoon and evening.' And he said, 'What happened?' And I said, 'Nothing. I took her out.' And he said, 'Did she know you were married?' And I said, 'She knew I was married and had 2 kids, and I told her so before we even decided on a date that evening.' He said, "Did your wife know?" And I said, "No, I was away from home and it was a one-night date, pickup. And nothing happened and there was absolutely no letters, no phone calls, no follow-up, no before, nothing." I said, "If you'd like to question the girl about that, feel free." And they said, "We have." And I said, "Terrific, then you know I'm not lying to you." And they didn't say anything. They put the photograph away, put it in a folder. This was all done in a tremendously Dick Tracy like atmosphere. You know, they had a light shining in my face, and two guys were facing me, and one guy stood behind me, and like every fourth or fifth question was from the guy behind me. And in order to see him and his reaction to either the question or any answer that I would give, I'd have to turn to face him. It was really juvenile. And I did not know that this was being tape recorded, by the way. I feel like he did.
Yeah. I mean, a reel-to-reel tape recorder in 1970 is about the size of your laptop, so and it was like right on the desk. So
I never saw a tape recorder or a microphone or anything like that. I'm going to read this last paragraph, then you can pick up.
yeah, but
in
yeah,
the
go ahead.
detail. Then Mr. Grebner left the room, and Mr. Shaw, who had taken the hard approach, he'd been the one saying, "You murdered your wife, you staged the scene." He left the room, and they left Mr. Ivory.
All right. First of all, if you're a scholar of the case, and so many of you are, April 6th is like, holy scripture in terms of how well you know it. This is so his warping, his rewriting of it is just comical because it's so filled with lies and turning it around, and I mean, you could go line by line, but the fact that he knows there's a tape recording of it and he's still inventing a alternate version of it to disseminate to the press is insane. Like, absolutely no concept of any consequence could ever come from that. Like, it's literally a recording that could undo everything you're saying here. And also, just the last thing that struck me is like, it was Ivory that left the room with Grebner, and they left Shaw in there with him. But whatever. Everyone makes mistakes. Maybe that wasn't deliberate. He was silent for about 2 minutes, and then he tried what is called in the Special Forces the Mutt and Jeff approach. He walked over and sat on the desk, and he leaned forward, and he was very friendly. He said, "Captain McDonald, there have been a lot of allegations thrown around here today. Personally, I have no feelings on the matter, except I don't like the way some of my fellow workers do things. I don't like the way they approach the problem, and furthermore, I don't really believe a lot of the things they have alleged here." And I looked at him and I said, "Mr. Ivory," I said, "really now, this is very juvenile." I said, I'm sure you're the other half of the Mutt and Jeff team, and you'd expect, by putting your arm around me and patting my shoulder, I am supposed to break down and confess. I said, "Let me set you straight. I have nothing to confess to you. I have never done anything." Later, Mr. Shaw said to me, "Would you take a lie detector test?" And I said, "Absolutely." I said, "Without any question, I'll take a lie detector test right now." And there was stunned silence in the room. I was amazed at their reaction. They were stunned. They just sat there and looked at me. And about a minute later, Mr. Grebner said, "You will?" And I said, "Absolutely. I haven't lied to you." I said, "I'll take a lie detector test." I said, "Let's take one." And they looked at each other and they said, "We can't give it to you now." And I said, "Why not? You guys have made a lot of allegations. Let's take a lie detector test."
And then one of them spit their coffee out.
Yeah, and their jaws would literally drop.
Literally
They're picking
the
their
floor.
jaws up off the floor for
This
for
is
2 minutes.
incredible.
Yeah,
this is absolutely
peak
incredible.
McDonald. This is peak.
The self mythologizing,
Yeah.
self dramatization.
Demanding a lie detector test on the spot.
Hey man, let me set you straight right here. I'm not going to confess to anything.
Yeah.
Let me teach you a little something about police work. All right.
Yeah, I know all about it. He did bring up Mutt and Jeff to them, and it's true, but it did not go like this. And he certainly wasn't so excited about the lie detector test, as we know. I said, let's take a lie detector test. And Mr. Grebner said, well, we have to get him from Washington. I said, well, get him from Washington. I'll take a lie detector test. And at that point, he said, that will be all. And I got up and left the office. So then, as we all know, he called 10 minutes later saying, I don't want to do one. He leaves that out. Then at 4 o'clock, I got a phone call to report to my commanding officer, and he said, it's my unfortunate duty to tell you that you have been named as a suspect in the murder of your family. And then he said, I better also tell you that they're having a news conference with AP and UPI in about half an hour. And I was just completely stunned. So he was picking up his jaw off the floor at that point. Later, so we're back to Joe's author voice. Later, McDonald was afraid that he might have given too much for nothing. This concern was illustrated by his diary entry for Saturday, July 25th, the day after the Army prosecutors had rested their case against him. The Newsday reporter, he wrote, has been here for days now, going through files in the office. I'm a little ticked off at Bernie. He won't tell me anything about the financial arrangements, but he has given away much valuable material. If I now want to see another author about the story, this guy has most of the best info, with no guarantee that I get anything. 2 days later, McDonald wrote, Newsday reporter going home today. Had long conversation with him about the article. He assures me I will do well financially by him at the right time, just to trust him and Bernie. All right, we'll end it there.
All right.
Beautiful. Beautiful stuff.
I missed spending time with the voice of Jeff. I know this is not the voice of Jeff.
It might as well be. It's sort of like a proto voice of Jeff with his interview to Newsday.
Yeah, holy shit.
I mean, it's the same, setting it up the same way as everything else he's ever done. Like they're all standing around with business suits on and guns on and blah, 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 blah.
And then they were blown away by his courage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so the implication being that they were so scared to give him a lie detector test that they ran and announced the charges, the suspicion to the media to get out of having to give him one because he was so ready to do it.
Yeah, he was stabbed so many times.
I had the exact same number of stab wounds, but they just didn't go in deep enough. It's just he's exhausting.
Every story is always about how like hot and strong he is.
Yeah. So, and then what's the
Heroic and brave.
Yeah, the focus on getting money out of it is pretty crazy.
Did you hold back on the F-bomb because we're on camera?
I guess so. I thought I was gonna say it was fucking crazy.
Yeah. No, I'm a bit more self-conscious now that we're live.
Well, we're not live, but we're on camera. And you can't claim later that you didn't know this was being recorded, Billy. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the fact that I don't know if this is directly related, that the things that they oppose, that Bernie Siegel at the 79 trial was so staunchly opposed to in terms of it trampling McDonald's rights, and one of them was letting the jury listen to that April 6th tape, and the other was seeing the crime, like just being in the crime scene, seeing the space. Both were opposed. And, that might just be amazing lawyering and a great strategy for a trial lawyer, but for a criminal defense, sure, but not for someone who's innocent. Certainly not.
Right.
But so we're back to the book now. We got one more half a chapter here until we're offline.
Yeah, I'm
on,
trying to think
on
of.
part three.
Do you want to welcome the Malcolm Defender into the room before we go?
Malcolm Defender.
Oh, sorry. Some
I
Freud.
just I wasn't aware there was a Malcolm Defender. No, they can get in line, but you want to was I'm assuming you meant McDonald Defender.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
we'll
very.
summon them. Yeah, let's
Ooh.
conjure them.
Have you ever noticed how many JMs there are?
You've got Jeffrey McDonald, Joe McGinnis, Janet Malcolm. You have the psychiatrist Jeffrey Mason. What's that about?
People don't think about that enough.
Yeah,
The McDonald Defender. I mean, how do you even steel man this position?
Yeah,
I guess it would be the fact that he sought to profit financially so soon after the murder, the fact that he was so obsessed with his own publicity might prove that he's an opportunistic guy, but it doesn't prove that he killed his family.
oh, that's Mr. McDonald Defender. That's you could do so much better. I mean, couldn't you say that he had no way to pay for his legal fees,
Oh, that's good. That's good.
and
I didn't even think of that.
his mother does ultimately end up selling her the home in Patchogue. So it's just being an indigent defendant, looking for any possible way to get some
Right.
relief.
Right.
So there's that angle to it, and then the publicity is purely out of trying to get the catch the killers.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah, it's a pretty
I
good
mean, but
argument.
you can maybe if we were sitting here in 1970 and he had just done that or said that or written that in his diary and we somehow learned about it the next day, that might hold some water. But with what he did over the next 5 years, you can't really
Yeah.
think that that's actually was ever a motive.
Definitely
Yeah,
freaks
but
out.
then just real quick, then the McDonald Defender would come in and say he gave up trying to find the real killers because Kassab was so scary and mean, and he had to just escape from Freddy's orbit and recover.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good comeback.
Yeah,
A
you
real
did it. You
strong
did it.
defense.
You did it better. You did it
Thank you.
better.
Oh, sure.
I'm a little bit stuck on him writing retroactive diary entries
Yeah.
about the lead up to the murder and his making sure to spell out the fact that he and Colette made love all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, it's also proto voice of Jeffrey McDonald. He's like over the story he wants told about him.
Yeah.
It's the exact same verbiage and all that good stuff. So
The only a tiny amount of weakness he allows himself to show is when he says he feels ashamed that he didn't defend the family more effectively.
right, like he couldn't save them.
Yeah, but even when doing that, he says, and I know all the other things you could say that I fought and I got hit in the head and I was unconscious.
I had just as many stab wounds. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. He's trying to. He's working through his survivor's guilt sort of openly. Like, this is what the complex is. I know what it is. It's survivor's guilt, and I'm just trying to live with it every day, guys. It's not easy.
The suicide thing shows up in a Voice of Jeffrey McDonald chapter.
Yeah, he reproduces that word for word in a tape to Joe, and that's after
Yeah, 9 years later,
9 years
10 years later.
later, and it's after been very publicly, and even he was been confronted with it at the grand jury, that that one of the things that making Freddie not think he's telling the truth was that he said he had a gun. He was so scared about the assailants looking for him again, that he had a loaded gun under his pillow every night. But then he was simultaneously realizing that he can't possibly hang himself because there's not enough belt or whatever. And that was like
That's in the same voice of Jeff where he says that the spirit
the spirit of collect said, "Don't give up on life. Get up, go out tomorrow, and get yourself a lawyer." And everyone's jaw fell to the floor as he walked into JAG and said, My name is Jeffrey McDonald, and I want an attorney."
Everybody gasped.
Everybody
screamed,
gasped and clapped and screamed.
carried him out.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the fact that, and I know we brought it up at the time when this came up in the voice of Jeff, the fact that this story had a direct impact on his life in the worst possible way, in terms of it turned Freddie against him, and it led directly to his indictment and his subsequent conviction. And he's still telling the story to Joe from prison afterwards. And it's one of the things about Jeff is he never gives an inch. He'll never back down from a story, even one that's total bullshit, which most of them are. And even when there's a tape recording of the conversation you're saying went a certain way, and you know there's a tape recording, and you're all, I mean, maybe people were let's McDonald defenders creeping in. Oh, guys, like, this is before the internet. You know, you could anyone would just feel pretty comfortable just lying to a newspaper because nobody would ever follow up on it. And he was just so angry. And wouldn't you? I mean, Errol Morris might even come in. It's like, they just singled in on him so hard and so fast. He just he did whatever he could. The only weapon he had was his words.
I really like when you do the Errol Morris impression.
Thanks. I wish I haven't heard him talk enough to even be able to do an Errol Morris impression, but I'm glad that you like it, and I hope other people like it too. Because I don't like him.
Yeah, I'm amazed by him.
Yeah, he amazes me. He amazes me. But he's not really. Well, I guess what's amazing to me, we're right over wrapping up here and all that, but while we're on the Morris, is that, and I know that we're only talking about tens of people a year who are getting into the case for the first time. I don't really know the numbers. Maybe it's a couple hundred, sort of getting into the case for the first time. But if I look into like these book review sites or like Goodreads or people on social media, it's like some guy just posted like, "I'm working my way through Fatal Vision," and someone's like, "You got to read Wilderness of Error next," and that's sort of like what's considered the fair thing to do. You got to hear both sides out here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess the fact that Wilderness of Error by Errol Morris is commercially available right now in 2025, after everything that's happened afterward, is ridiculous.
Hey, yeah, we're free speech absolutists
Yeah.
at the Fatal Vision podcast.
Oh, sure. No, I'm not saying that there should be a law preventing it, but the fact that
it's not so thoroughly discredited that the
people are stupid enough to think, "Well, I got to give this guy, I got to hear it out." And even Morris himself has nothing to say about Jeffrey McDonald for 7 years or more, really. But then again, people. That's why we're here. That's why we're doing what we're doing, because we give a shit about what actually happened here and what the truth is.
And we
And
care about good writing.
we care about the good writing, and because Joe McGinnis did a great book, we're here and able to do what we're doing. And we're able to keep fighting for the cause that Kassab took up in 1971, 2025.
That's right.
So,
That's right. All right, this was a good one. It's good to be
Yeah.
back in the book.
back in the book.
Hey, wait, hey, before we go, it's 12:18.
Oh, let's check. Because I don't actually, I used to say with such confidence I knew where he was.
Where is Jeffrey McDonald right
All right,
now?
hold on. All right, so I'm going to the Bureau of Prisons, prison inmate locator, federal inmates by name, first name Jeffrey. Okay. Last name MacDonald with an MAC.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Search. Oh, sorry. Typo. Try again. One result found. Jeffrey McDonald, inmate number 00131-177, age 82, race white, sex male, release date life, located at FCI Butner Medium. So, Jeffrey McDonald's in Butner, North Carolina tonight.
Okay.
Or this morning, very early morning, 12:30.
All right, Jeff.
All right, Jeff. It's not too late. If you could still hear or speak, we urge you to confess.
We know you're listening, so
Yeah,
there's no question.
confess. It's the only thing you can do now. It's the only thing you ever should have done.
And big thanks to all the people that are listening, liking, subscribing, commenting. We love the supporters. We love the people that
Yeah.
troll the
And
page.
and a special thank you to Mr. Richard Tavir, the first responder who discovered the crime scene in 1970, for commenting on our most recent episode. It's an incredible honor, as I said
that
in
was
the
a thrill.
comments.
That was amazing.
I'm really humbled, and we're both humbled beyond words. So thank you for listening, and we're just trying to do our part here at this state.
All right. And so with
right.
that, as always,
God bless. Good night.
if nobody told you they love you today,
We do. There's nothing you can do about it. Good night.